The following is an excerpt from the Monday, January 7, 2019, regular business meeting of the Kalamazoo City Commission.
At this time, I'd like to invite Andrew Haan up to share brief comments from his budget.
Good evening, President Haan.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Manager Ritzma. Thanks so much for your time and support over the last year. I went ahead and we put together a quick little brief PowerPoint, but want to share some highlights of what's coming up this year and give a broad overview on what the budget looks like. As you're all aware, we've had a big year with changes at the organization on the Downtown Partnership side, formerly Downtown Kalamazoo Incorporated, and of course created with your gracious support, the new Downtown Economic Growth Authority. So as you look at this budget here, this shows the Downtown Partnership revenues, and that is all inclusive of the funds that come in from the DDA and from the Downtown Economic Growth Authority. So I'll split that up a little bit in a moment, but wanted everyone to understand that as an organization, we're now really handling this as one budget, showing the sources, presenting everything in a very transparent manner, and that's been very well received by our boards on the public side and the nonprofit board as well. So as you look at that from a revenue standpoint, we have our service agreements with the Downtown Economic Growth Authority, the DDA, our parking agreement, and then also a very modest one from Downtown Tomorrow Incorporated, and those total $424,000 this year. We've also really stepped up our fundraising and are bringing in around $460,000 this year for both operational support, which is very unusual, and for some very specific projects. As you are aware, in the city budget, there's a $384,000 operations loan. That is something that we project needing for the next 5 to 6 years as the new Economic Growth Authority, as that TIF begins to grow. As you'll see, it's very modest this year in a moment, but it climbs very quickly. State of Michigan will be providing $75,000 towards our budget. We do a lot in sponsorships, a contribution from the DDA fund balance this year, which we're drawing down a little bit, and then some other sources that total about $125,000 for a total of just over $1.6 million. So the revenues that come from the DDA are again that 2 mil levy that the DDA has had since it started, I think in the early 1980s, 1982. That totals about $270,000. That fund balance contribution, a very modest amount of interest income for a total of around $400,000. That will leave our fund balance on the DDA at about $380,000, which obviously is a good percentage right now based on the overall budget. On the partnership and on the Downtown Economic Growth Authority sides, they're much more modest, and we look to ramp those up, kind of that standard 15%. The major revenues from the Economic Growth Authority is the TIF, which I said will grow exponentially as the years go on. We have a small mall maintenance contract with the city, and then that operations loan and the state funds for about $600,000. We've split our budget into our 4 impact areas, which align with the 4 citizen coalitions, which we have just notified who was selected today, so we're very excited to get them on board and meeting in February. So people, place, growth, and experience. You'll see $137,000. Place is where we're making our largest investments this year. That's the built environment. Experience, which is the marketing and events and overall promotion of downtown. And then growth being our economic development work and business development. We do have, of course, to run an organization like this, there are costs associated to have a great staff like we do. So that's around $340,000, and then we do have some DDA obligations which date back to the previous TIF district. Again, about $1.6 million. I'm going to hit just a couple quick slides on what some of those examples of how those funds would be invested. So people, of course, the mall maintenance is something that we really pride ourselves on doing, and we look to invest more in that. One of the other key things that we're just getting started on is this discussion around a downtown ambassador program. That will not be fully operational this year, but we see that coming up in the next couple years, and we're going to start getting some funding into that. Place will be doing a streetscape plan for downtown, which is something that is sorely needed and will really dovetail nicely with some of the things that are proposed to be talked about later tonight. You see the festival place. We did convene a task force late 2017 to look at that, and really had to kind of set that on the shelf for a minute while we handled some of the organizational work. It's beautiful. We don't want it to look like that empty, 90% of the time. So we're doing a comprehensive master plan there. We're looking to fund a public restroom this year, an outdoor one, which we're very excited, and we know that is needed as well. More alley activations, particularly on Exchange Place, which won't look like Bates Alley, but something similar. Again, the marketing campaigns throughout the year to promote downtown. Some new events. We're going to do something called the Silent Disco this year, which we're pretty excited about. And then continuing our professional development workshops that we've done the last couple of years. And that is actually from the Incremental Development Alliance. We've had them here before. We're excited to bring them back. And then another big one, which Jennifer will be really working on with her expertise in her previous position, is getting the conversation around a business improvement district started, which would bring more revenues to really handle that clean and safe stuff for downtown. And that concludes our presentation. So, any questions?
Commissioners, questions for the President and or Deputy City Manager? Commissioner Cooney?
Could you please explain again the ambassador program?
Sure. So that's something that is employed in a number of downtown districts throughout the country. Grand Rapids, as one of our neighbors, has one, and they serve a number of key purposes. So they're really, you can think of it broadly as clean and safe. So they're out there cleaning up, making sure that our downtown is spick and span and spotless, doing plantings, giving people escorts to their cars if they feel they need that late at night. They really serve as an extra set of eyes and ears for public safety, and in many cases, these services actually have people that are trained in social work that can help connect people that are living downtown with service providers too. So it is not to do it to the scale that we want. We did not have the funds this year. It's easily, 400,000 plus when you're talking about having 2 or 3 people, most of the time during daylight hours. So we've received some really great interest from some partner organizations that we think would potentially support it. So more to come on that one.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioners? Thank you.
I would like to offer one comment. I'll spare you later. We just want to say that we are unequivocally, our boards are unequivocally in support of the transfer of the streets from MDOT. So we have a lot of people here that have come out to show that support. So look forward to the discussion tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone in the public wanting to comment on the 2019 budget for the City of Kalamazoo, please step forward. You'll have 4 minutes. Give us your name and whether you live within the city. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. There is no action this evening on this item. We will take final action on the city budget at our next meeting of January the 22nd. That will be on Tuesday, January 22nd, due to the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday.